Hello, CrossFit Ethos, and welcome to your final week of the CrossFit Open. We have 26.3. And again, for our beginners, in case this is still not made clear to you, it's called 26.3 because it's the year and the number of the workout that you're doing. Now you know. Now, let's be clear about one simple thing. This workout has been done by many athletes at this point. Don't know what time it is right now, but at this point, barely anybody has finished. So we'll acknowledge the fact that even our games athletes, or the most elite of the elite, will have a hard time finishing this workout. So by accepting that, we'll have a sort of like a clear perspective and understanding of why our prep and our strategies are the way that they are. Now let's start off with your preparation. First thing that we need to acknowledge in terms of your mobility, our two biggest priorities are obviously your shoulders and your hips. We want to make sure that you guys are strong in a stacked position overhead and that you are able to squat below parallel every time so that you do not get no rep. You'll see on there is written in the lower back as well. One of the most compromised positions we have at the bottom of thruster is the barbell leaning a little bit forward. And that tends to make us be in a hinged position. So just in case, we want to make sure that your lower back is also ready and primed up so that you are able to salvage those repetitions throughout. And of course, we want to make sure you guys stay safe and sound through this workout. Now, it also goes without saying that the way we come into these open workouts, we should be into it very, very warm. Don't think about conserving yourself to the workout. It's not one of those long and steady workouts. It's not a 2K or a 4K or a 5K or a 10K run. It's literally a sprint. And you don't want to start a sprint with no prior running, warm-up, or jogging, right? That's sort of the mindset. Now, thinking about the barbell, one of the most common things, especially if you are a more tenured athlete, is you'll want to do this thing that we call as an overprime, or basically lifting heavier than the final weight. As I've mentioned, barely anybody has finished this workout. You do not need to prime yourself for the last weight. Matter of fact, the last weight is the primer. So you want to think about the weights that you're going to be touching. First weight, second weight, third weight, and that's it. No need for anything above that. So that'll give you an instant idea of how to prepare for your barbell movements, both the cleans and your thrusters. Now, let's talk about strategy, because that's going to be a little bit different. Now, first of all, perspective. This is the last workout. We have no more anxiety after this. And so if you haven't done so in workout 1 and 2, now is your opportunity to give yourself a bit of a push. Now is your opportunity to give yourself, because this is your journey after all, a bit of that last sort of like deep dive into an efforts and see how hard you can really go. When we're thinking about the burpees, it's very important that we find an idea that it is going to be maintaining fatigue. Like I said on the prep part here, you'll want to do a lot of repetitions because you want to find that rhythm and flow and not figure out how to do the burpees only at 3, 2, 1, go. So you want to make sure during your warm-up and prep also, you've already rehearsed how you're going to do every single rep. We teach in classes how it's done. And in case you don't know how that is, guys, attend classes, right? Very simple. We need to acknowledge that burpees will maintain fatigue and it's not supposed to add or build fatigue. We think about the barbell as the one that builds fatigue. So when we're thinking about that in a pace standing, you want the burpees to be a nice and steady pace, but not one that will lower your heart rate. This is an open workout, not a 10K run. So there has to be some kind of push where that heart rate gently goes up. We think about the increases of the weights and how that will be challenging for you, whether it's thrusters and or your cleans. And that's going to be the one that's going to pose a challenge. So when we're thinking about something that will build fatigue, do you do it in singles? Do you do it in touch and go? Each person is different. There's no one secure way of thinking about that. Which brings me to my last point, at least when it comes to how you're going to be breaking up your skills. Lightweight, of course, his and hers. But if you have the ability to do touch and go, just make sure that it's very sustainable and not something that's erratic. Don't do a set of 4, then a 2, then a 5, then a 1. Very consistent. That's for the first 2 rounds. When we go into that moderate weight, we recommend doing singles, at least for the RX athletes, and for the scaled athletes, same concept as the light one, something sustainable. And if you ever get to the final weight, just fight for it with your life. Lastly, and this is something that I feel gets overlooked, especially when we're in the midst of everything and adrenaline is high and your endorphins are getting released. Guys and girls, breathing is a skill. If you can breathe through any and all of your movements, your heart rate will cooperate. Your lactate thresholds, that's your numbness of your legs, will cooperate. And you guys are set up for success. And that's it for 26.3. I'll see you guys on tips and strategies next year. Cheers.